everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Up and In Show. Man, people are being loud outside and everything. We're trying to start the episode. But no, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for listening. We are in the 70s, I think. Maybe 80s, actually, now. I don't know. But I'm excited. We got two really cool guests in. We're going to do our first pop-up in the shop. You guys are the first ones. So,
yes.
Yeah, thank you guys. I got John Battle with me, former LSU football player, NFL star. And his boy Alejandro Carela, right?
Carela.
I said it right?
Yes.
Let's go. I'm excited. Yeah. So we got a pop-up today, and I'm excited to introduce you guys. But I kind of want to let you guys take the reins and introduce yourselves and tell a little bit about what you guys are doing, your brand, your image, and the things that you got going on. We've talked for 10 minutes before we started this thing, and my mind's racing. So I'm excited. So take it away, whoever wants to start us off.
I'll start out first. John Battle, played at LSU, graduated here. Louisiana. I'm from Miami originally, so Louisiana is like my second home. So I kind of try to tap in, as much as possible. Met this guy maybe 6 months ago.
I was like 8.
Yeah, like 8 months ago. Very recent.
I was gonna say that's
very recent.
Yeah.
So we got another one of our friends. He also part of our brand. His name is Desmond. So he has a shop called Ever Valora down in Miami and Wynwood. So Dez, I come back from the season. Dez like hits me up like, "Hey, I'm doing this event at this shop. Come pull up." So I pull up, met this guy, and as soon as we met, we just locked in like instantly. So for the next like 8 months, we was just like brainstorming ideas, bouncing off each other. And then we're here now, basically.
I love it. Hey, 8 months into a brand,
8 months,
a business,
yeah,
in a shop,
it's
and
crazy.
doing all that is
crazy.
Moves.
It's crazy how it works.
Congratulations, first and foremost. I think that's dope. Whenever two people come together and you guys can dap it up and become partners and stuff is pretty special.
Yeah.
And to do 8 months of this and be able to take it here and do different things and have these clothes. So. Some of these shoes and products I'm excited to dive into, man. It seems like a pretty dope story. So I'm excited to get to know you and your background.
Well, my name is Alejandro Carela. I'm from New York, but realistically, I'm like half New York and half Floridian from Miami as well. So like I live my life in both cities. I guess my start is pretty much with design and art. So I started painting, and then from that takes me into I probably did at least 3 semesters of art school, and then I dropped out. I was like, this ain't for me. And I figured out that I could get to where I want to be faster on the ground than, by school and whatnot. But so.
What part of New York? Because I didn't know if I'm from Jersey.
Oh, from Jersey?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, what part?
I'm from the Bronx.
Let's go. All right. I was a Yankee fan growing up. I go to the Bronx all the time.
To this day, diehard Yankee fan.
I'm sorry. Let's go. I want to let you know I got drafted by the Red Sox. How crazy is that? I swear to God.
That's crazy.
Hey, and then my debut, Friday night at Fenway against the Yankees.
Damn.
I swear to God. How nuts was that? Yeah, that's nuts.
That's lit.
Yeah, crazy.
That's lit, for sure.
I grew up like Derek Jeter posters in my room, all that stuff. And then Derek Jeter's my first out in the major leagues too. How crazy is that?
So how was that like? How did that feel though? Like
it was crazy. It was really crazy. In baseball, it kind of works weird, right? So in AAA, and you can kind of follow it on Twitter, moves and stuff. Like I kind of knew if one thing happened, like with the big league team, I knew I was going to get called up. So I knew they were playing the Yankees. I knew it was Friday night. I'm texting my family. I'm like, yo, if this happens, like you guys got to be ready.
Let's go.
You guys got to be ready. And so sure enough, I'm actually, so in AAA, it's funny. You have to sit in the stands in AAA and actually like chart pitches for your team. So I'm sitting in the stands in street clothes and my GM calls me. He's like, hey, you're pitching Friday night in Fenway. I was like, let's go. So I left the stands. I was like, fuck this shit. I'm not even doing the chart anymore. I went and called my dad, called my family, called all my boys, and was like, yo, Friday night. Because I think it was like a Wednesday or Thursday. I was like, you guys got to make your arrangements. Let's go. So yeah, it was pretty dope. And then the Yankees, Friday night, it was.
That's nostalgic. That's the nostalgic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Biggest rival you see right there. You're like, man, they say I love you guys, but I have to win. I gotta win.
Hey, you would appreciate this if you're a diehard Yankee fan. When I got my contract, I had family members literally call me. You're not going to sign with the Red Sox, are you? I'm like, yes. I saw this contract. Yeah, they're throwing $2.5 million.
Of course I am.
Yes.
In a time like that, the fan would be like, you have to understand. I need to make the right decision for my life.
Trust me, this is good for all of us.
We're still fans, but this is the right decision for our lives. My world is pretty much art and fashion. And my brand is called Carela, and it's pretty much just about art and footwear and then home aesthetics. So I put myself to design sneakers. So these are my sneakers that we're wearing right now, the Carelas. They're called the OG ones, the C1s. And I just normally, it's just merging my art with my craft.
Yeah.
So like the designs all around the sneakers are pretty much all my artwork, my art style of how I paint and everything. Yeah. And I've always just been intrigued in just those two worlds. It's art design. And then from there, I guess like 2019, I left New York, went back to Florida, and then we started a store called Velvet Velour in Wynwood. It's me and my two partners, 12lin and Udo. And then from there, the whole purpose is just to build the ground up for everybody in the local artists, this is the underground Miami, to have a home base so they can touch back in. And like, you know, so that way anyone from tourists who come to Miami, if you stop at my shop, you'll see any local, like, you know, designers, fashion designers to artists, painters, the whole thing. Yep. And we're just trying to spread light because in Miami, we definitely suffer off the main thing, which is there's no media coverage on the underground. So we're just trying to make sure, like, hey, look, let's just spread the light. And every Fridays, we have this event called After Hours. And then that one Friday, that's when Des brought, my fault. That's when Des brought in JB. And then he was like, man, so we just started came back and talking. And then I kind of like read him like 20 different new ideas I had at the time.
Like he gave me his whole like playbook, like his whole
any of these work for you?
Yeah, I'm like, man, you know, like it's so like I started really digging down like how to start things is just so easy. Like it's not as hard as people like make it seem like. Maybe the hard part might be like funding, right? And that's just only like if that's, you know, if really funding is the issue in the sense, and you can't get it from the banks, and you know you can't get nobody to give you a loan, then that's where you have the most issue. If not that, it's a great idea, and then if you could just negotiate everything else. And I always tell people, man, it's leverage. So, you know, or it's just building a relationship. Have a relationship with that company or that factory or whoever it is, just to like say, look, this is longevity. I'm not trying to just make a fast play and then drop it and then move on to the next. And then I kind of ran him. I think what was this? I think it was the water idea.
The water, yes.
Water idea. And I'm like, look, man, like, you know, we can make our own water bottle. And he was just like a water bottle. I'm like, yeah, we can make our own water. And I just
he blew my mind that day.
Like a cat of all different like type of water bottles. I'm like, look. It was funny. It was just me just jotting ideas.
I love it.
He looked at it. He was just like, you know how to do this? I'm like, yeah. We just talk to this factory here. We go there. We just negotiate with them, and then you know, we start working things out. We talked to them. I got the base numbers, and then you know, pretty much to make a new bottle cost this much. And then he was like, man, we're gonna need to have a meeting.
And that's because we kind of operate the same way.
Yeah.
Like we kind of got the same like I guess rhythm. As far as like just the way we think and the way we kind of express ourselves and how we just see something, just like, okay, and just go. Yeah. Like, so we're naturally like, that's why I say we just locked in from like that very moment. Cause I was trying to relaunch my brand, redo my brand, which is called NeverJFake. It means living your truth. So I came to him and I was telling him like, yeah, you know, I got my little hat brand. Also play football. And then at first he just thought I was just like, oh, okay, you got cool, you got your little hats, whatever. And then like I actually was like, no, telling him we went in depth and had like a real engaging conversation. Then after that, he was just like, bet, like, yeah, you for real, like, let me show you this, let me show you this, let me show you that.
Because ideally, like, I guess like sometimes I think everyone feels like this in their own field. If you're good at your field and you're really like, you know, great at it in a sense, you kind of like, there's a bar to like, you need to at least know this basic information.
All right.
Yeah.
If you don't know this basic information, I'm kind of wasting my time talking to you.
Yep.
So go out there, find this basic information. Now there's YouTube, so YouTube it all. Right? So YouTube
University,
Google,
sure.
anything. We got every resource.
Any questions, just look it up. Yep. And then know the basic information, and then come, you know, and I saw how genuine he was. He's like, look, I'm trying to learn, and I really like doing what I do. And that's when I realized, okay, like, he knows his information. He knows, like, you know, a little bit of, at least the basic knowledge of the fashion industry and what it takes and how to, like, in branding and marketing. So I'm like, all right, so with that, we could just, you know, I'm like, look, anything you need, factory, stuff like that, I'll help you out.
Yeah.
The whole process.
You did, for sure.
I'm like, no matter what it is, even design-wise, concept, product placement, everything, I'm like, I could, like, help you structureize that just so, like, you know, the brand looks like a full brand. I'm like, a lot of people understand, like, you have like this, every brand has the 10-year plan, which is the 3 years you're like struggling to get out there. Then the next 3 years, from 4 to 6, you're like, that's your prime. And then you hit the decline stage where you're like, that's the last 3 years where you're like, kind of like, man, how can I like still be relevant going forward? So right now I feel like, we're obviously it's year one. So we're beginning, figure out different concept and placement. The brand we came together is called JAC, JAC, J for NeverJFake, A for Artist Dope, and then C for Carela. And it will be just more of like this infusion of sports, fashion, and art. And that's the whole concept. And a lot of our plans for next year will be our first JAC event. Will be like kind of like a festival. So including the sports and having the kids play like flag football,
field day.
Like field day. Yeah, pretty much it's like bringing field day to adults.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm like,
we're big
adults
kids.
Adults are just big kids.
We're
at the
big
end of the
kids.
day.
That's it.
And
we're
we
in a
still want to
kids
have
store,
fun.
like an adult kids store right now. Yeah.
Adults, on the majority of the time, we just like we're just bigger kids. We're just older, but we're still kids, and we still want to play.
Yeah.
Still want to have
For
fun.
sure.
And it's like sometimes you just need like a different environment to just shake things up instead of like the clubs or going to the beach. That's great.
That's dope.
Just need a different environment.
That's gonna be in Miami.
Yeah. First one's gonna be Miami, and then we plan to jump to different cities.
Yeah.
Like, and hopefully we do one here in Louisiana.
Definitely, that's definitely
sure,
they
here in
got
Baton
to.
Rouge, and definitely like get the community involved, because that's the whole thing. Like, it's culture.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's culture that we're talking about. It's culture that we're speaking. The designs we do, everything just comes back from where we come from, our home. Like, all our brands are just true to ourselves. I'm not trying to be like any other brand. We take notes on the other brands on how great they do and why they do great, but the end goal is to be yourself, because you can never lose being that.
Truly.
Absolutely. And I think that's probably why you guys clicked right away, right? You guys were operating on that same frequency.
Yeah,
you
for
knew
sure.
it right away, and it was like, there's something here, and we're on the same page. So I love that. Talk more a little bit about I'm a little curious about how you started your brand, and how, and then what gave you like that confidence to go into a shop and be like, all right, cool, I got something here.
So I actually started here. I started at LSU 2016, 17.
Nice. Yeah.
So my girlfriend at the time, I think it was like my birthday or something. I can't remember. Birthday, Christmas, something like that. One of those significant holidays. She makes a hat for me because her mom has an embroidery shop. So she makes this hat. So then I come back, I'm like, wow, like this is, I kind of like this. And I'm like, make another color. Then she makes another color, and I'm like, okay, this is dope. So I'm wearing around campus and school. You got my friends back home. They're like, hey, man, like, where you get that hat from? That's a nice hat.
Yeah.
So everybody's telling me, like, hey, dude, like, that's a nice hat. So I'm like, all right, bet. So then, I kind of get doing some research on stuff like that, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to order some hats. So I kind of started maybe like 4 colorways.
Yeah.
It was like a black distress, a orange distress, and like a green distress. And then I did it, and then it went like hotcakes. Like everybody was like, yeah, I want it.
Like while you're at school?
Yeah, while I was at school. Yeah. So this is like, the NCAA don't know what's going on. Compliance doesn't know. This is just me just
cash.
Yeah,
like
just basically. So I'm like, all right, cool. So then I do some more research, and now I'm kind of getting to it. I'm like kind of deep in.
Yeah.
So I do like 3 collections. I do like a camo like fall collection. Then I do like a winter collection. So next thing I know, I'm kind of really doing good for myself. And then at the time too, I was doing good things in photography.
Nice. Like you yourself were taking photos?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. So like, football season over.
Yeah.
I hit up Michael Barnett. He hooked me up with like some sideline passes. So I go to the baseball games, go shoot. I go to the basketball games, go shoot. So I'm like in there with the media on the side of the court, with everybody. I'm taking pictures. So it was cool. It was cool.
That's nice. I didn't know that.
So I was kind of doing 2 things, and then compliance kind of took notice. Like, hey man, like, okay, the photography thing is cool because we kind of helping you out, but then like, you can't do this hat stuff. So
of course.
Yeah, so
imagine what you be doing now with NIL and everything.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. It's like it's crazy. I miss everything by a year.
Yeah,
like which is
damn, that would have been dope because then you really could have leveraged your image and likeness around here at all the local shops and all these different things. And Damn, that's pretty cool. I
sure.
love that story because that's kind of what I'm trying to do with the athletes here. I remember the first conversation we had is if I can get Darius Days or Tiana Caffey to come in here and design a T-shirt or a hat of herself, right? And then she goes to other places and does it. She grows her brand. She makes a little money, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're teaching athletes or individuals how to self-sustain themselves.
Correct.
And then when ball's a little, you're in limbo with ball, you have an avenue to make money still, right? And it's being able to capitalize on your ability to play sports or entertain or do whatever it is, right? So man,
and for me, like I always been artistic. Like I have an artistic background. I done did theater when I was younger. I did like modeling. I did TV production. So like I always had like some form of artistic like background with me. And so like fashion has always been like a thing of mine. Like I remember Nike ID came out. I was probably like 8. And I'm on Nike ID every day making shoes. Like I'm just switching. Yeah, and every day. I like that's like my little.
Like I'll save this one.
Yeah, like
this
Then I went to making cleats and all that. So like I always kind of had that design in me. But then it was just like now it's like I'm kind of. I'll say my athlete stages is kind of, coming to is closing. Yeah. So it's just like I feel like this is perfect timing now to kind of reintroduce myself as the artistic guy. Yeah. So that's why, me and him just kind of I walked in, I was like, hey man, like I'm gonna do this for real. Cause like how I look at it, it's like I went professional in football and athletics. Why can't I not go professional in like fashion? So that's kind of how like my whole thinking is towards it. And the confidence that I walked in was like, like I need to tap in with this guy because he actually knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. And everything that he said, as far as like anything you need, like I got you. Like, and he don't do that often with a lot of people. So like for him to, give me that was just like, all right, dude, let's run it.
Yeah.
Let's run it for sure.
Goes back to like, like I said, just knowing the basics because it's like, no one's really going to walk, take you by the hand and show you everything. They still want you to still know what you're talking about. Right. And so there has to be some type of ground level where you're like, where you're standing on. Okay, well, come back to me maybe a year or 2 years later or when you get this information and you have a vision for yourself. Because it's not like I always tell them, like, it's not my brand I'm running. It's your brand. Yeah. That you have to have the vision. Like I could just point you to the places where it'll be easier and faster just so you execute it. But it's still your brand, so it's a concept. There's a concept for every production line. There's a branding. What's the marketing plan? How we're really gonna market? What's gonna make us stick out? And then every city just moves differently. So for sure, in Miami, it's like people support. They'll support you first, but then with I guess the results that a lot of people want, you're not gonna get them to like you have to get out of Miami, go out throughout the United States or around the country and stuff like that. Or out of the country, then when you come back and people see that you've been moving around, then it comes, they support you more. They're like, oh, yeah. Right. And, maybe it's like that everywhere, but I just know that in New York, it was a little different. The underground was really like just tapped in with one another. So everyone knew who's everyone, who's doing so-and-so. But I feel like New York's a trap. Like, you got to just work there but get out. like, it's so expensive to the point where it's like you don't even have enough funds to, like, fund your business the way you want to. You're like, I got to pay rent. So sometimes you gotta make decisions where you're like, I'm either gonna be backed up on rent, or because I'm gonna gamble and make sure that my stuff sells, or like I'll just pay the rent and I have to hold back on my brand. So I feel like that was different. Like it's always these choices and decisions everyone has to make, and it's just like how you maneuvering. Yeah. And every day, we're learning. So like I got some every day. I'm like sometimes I don't have everything all figured out, and then it'll probably be the last day, and I'll be like, all right. You plan, but I want to knock everything out now in 24 hours before the day of the release, just to make sure I can execute the way like I imagine it. Yeah, and execution is again to me, I feel like it's very important for everybody. Like how we it's how you present yourself, what type of brand it is, and it's more than just a hat. I just slap my logo on it, or a T-shirt and I print my logo on it. No, it's more than that.
Yeah, I got a brand.
Yeah. Exactly, it's the brand, but it's, we're striving for design. We're striving for like just the overall picture. Yeah, the concept of it. So people can live in this, the ecosystem that we're building and stuff like that. It's like Apple. Yeah, they have the best ecosystem, and everyone. No, that's exactly. We all live in the ecosystem. You got iPhone.
You're trapped.
If you got iPhone,
definitely trapped for sure.
Facts. Definitely trapped. Well, what about the thing that stuck out to me is you're a kid from New York that decides I want to go to Miami. How do you decide? I've been to Wynwood. It's a nice area, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Somebody listening to this, I feel like might be like I can't do that, right? And you said it. It got my attention. How did you have that in you to be like, nah, I know I got a vision. I'm doing this, right? And then you said the funding might have been hard. How did you take that step to get in there, get that spot, and then even pay your rent in the beginning?
So I've always had a job like a 9 to 5. Like it wasn't until like last year when I stopped having it was early this year when I stopped my job I was working at IKEA designing kitchens.
Yeah.
So that was my last job, and that was and I stopped this year. Like, so the whole entire time I always had a 9 to 5.
Okay.
And in New York, I'll have maybe like 3 or 4 jobs at the time.
Like, see, that's what people don't know though, is like, people just think you're at your home designing, not working, but you're hustling all day, and then you just in the shadows.
It's a non-stop concept. It was like, and I was in New York. I had the most weirdest jobs, but I did them and I had a job where I was cat sitting, and I never took that seriously. I was just like, people get paid just to watch someone's animal or dog or cat. I'm like, what? I'll just leave my dog there, and then they're like, I'll see you in 2 hours. Right. And then, but like, that was what my job was getting paid. I was grateful for that.
Yeah.
And then I'll either then at night from 2 in the morning to 6, I'll go to events and set up events and tear down events and stuff like that. Like, they need helpers, so I'm like, I'm gonna do it, and then back to a regular 9 to 5 job again. So it's just like it's a nonstop because I'm like, you need the funding, and then it's like, what's the impact? So when I started, I guess I always wanted to design sneakers, but I knew the funding was too expensive. I'm like, let me hold off on that, and let me start with clothes. So going there, the clothing process would be cheaper, but I also felt like to get what I wanted out of the clothes, it was going to be costing. It was also costing too much.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Let me just save up and just keep making art. And then it was like by 2016, I made a whole. I made like a whole bunch of collections, a whole bunch of artworks that I was like, this could go on something, but I don't know what. And I sat back on it for like 2 more years later. Then I figured out, I'm gonna start with home decor. I'm gonna start making pillows, and the whole purpose for this is self-marketing. So if the way I calculate things is like, if you wear a clothing piece, a T-shirt, or let's say it's a T-shirt. How many times can that T-shirt self-market itself? And how many times are you actually wearing this T-shirt? Right. Only just one time, and then you just throw the laundry. Oh, or you take a picture on Instagram, that's one time, and then you never see it again. So, and my process was like, if I made a pendant, like a chain, then every day you're probably gonna put the chain on, and it's gonna self-market itself. Someone's gonna take notes, gonna ask you, yo, where you get this chain at? And instead of myself marketing all the time, it markets for itself. So then I thought about, okay, well, people's homes, I don't know who goes into your house. I don't know how many people go to your house. But if I can get my stuff into your house as home decor, then, that could really start a conversation. And then everyone always asks, that's like something I always notice when you go in someone's house. You're like, damn, it's a nice house. I like your rugs. Where you get this from? Or, hey, your pillows, where you get that from? And I'm like, you know what? So let me just start there. So I start with throw pillows, and I work my way to then the backing of the throw pillows funded the rugs, and then backing from the rugs funded the throws. So everything, it's backing one after another and stuff like that. So everything, all the profit goes right back into the brand. Yeah. Like, it doesn't go to yourself at all until way later when you feel like, okay, I can actually see my brand paying myself back. Right. So it's still having jobs, still working, still hustling, and then after you finish working all that, go back home. You have that 2 hour before you go to sleep. You're like, let me just figure out the plan, figure out the next thing, and then do the whole day over again. I always just felt like that was just kind of my route for the past 2 years, and then no, it was actually for a year. I did that just nonstop, and it just worked very well to the point where I went to Dominican Republic, and then I went to Punta Cana, and I got one of my investments I invested back in the day for stocks, for like marijuana stocks from Canada. Yeah, it hit, and so I saw that money. So I took that money, went to DR, got a property. And then I'm like, all right. And then I'm like, let me just put the home decor here. And then I'm like, you know what? Let me go to ask different people's houses. Hey, you want some home decor? Or you want paint? So I started have paintings and stuff like that in different people's homes. And I stayed there for like 6 months, and then came back to New York.
I love it.
This is all still 2019. So like 1 year, 2018, just me hustling. 2019, I'm living 6 months in DR. When I came back, I'm like, New York is not gonna get me where I need to, take myself in life and stuff. So I'm like, it's not gonna get me to the next level of how fast I want to get to. So I'm like, let me just pack myself up and move to Miami. Let me go right back to Miami. So
it's crazy, right?
Yeah, just move to Miami.
Yeah, so I'm like, let me just go back to Miami. And then everyone, like, and it was fun because everyone in Miami asked me, like, why you left Florida and then to come back to Florida? And I was just like, there's so much potential here. It's just like maybe the locals or yourself are not even realizing the potential of what's here.
Yeah.
It's just like, you probably feel like, oh, like I'll catch that store later because I know it's gonna be there. I'm always gonna show there. I'm always gonna pass by whenever I want to. And I'm like, there's not that, like, and I guess that, I don't know if it's the drive, the ambition where people are like, that's new, let me go check it out.
Right.
So and how I calculated was like cities are based off like what I call like, this like the general, like there's either innovative city, or you have a city that's the first time buyers, or you have the general public. And then you have cities where people don't care what's new, they just like what they like. And Miami would be more of a general public city.
For sure.
General population. And then New York is a more of like an innovative city. So the speed I was moving on, when I got down here to Miami, I was like, man, like, why does everyone move so slow? And it's a different pace.
Yeah.
So I had to calculate the pace of how people in Florida move. And I'm like, all right. And after I figured that out, I was like, I just know what I need to do then. So if there's empty gaps, void it, let me just fill it in. So if there's no spaces where, the underground come together, let me make a space for that.
Yeah.
If there's no, like a lot of stuff I see, I'm like, you don't need it's great if you get funded by someone else, like a corporation or, sponsored by somebody, but you could do stuff with your own money, go on tour with your own money, run around, like everything with your own money. Just have to, play smart and figure out, okay, like, you guys is like taking a risk.
Yeah.
To me, I feel like building that in Miami would be easier because New York already has this. The establishment's done.
Yeah.
Now like the establishment in New York is done, and everyone in New York legit. It's like the only to take it to the next level for them is like I need funding, more funding to move how I need to move.
Right.
And versus Miami is like there's either nothing there, so it's like all right, I start where there's nothing, build it up. And we just, and I can show people and I talk to them all the time. Like, look, you could do this too. You could do this too. Like, it's not hard. Like, trust me, the process is as simple as it could be. If you put your, I guess your mind to it, it's really that simple.
Yeah.
And the dedication and time, right? Like people like get hyped up and they get excited about an idea, but they don't sustain it. They don't keep it going, right?
Yeah.
Trust me, it's like I have over maybe 500 ideas that. And I'm still on idea number 3. And so, like, some ideas you have, it's a great idea. It might not work at the moment
at the time,
but you have to, like, just still write it down and then hold it back. Just hold it for, like, all right, maybe the next 2-3 months or next 2-3 years, I could execute this idea the way I want it to.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's pretty much it. Like, the growth process is there. Like I'm going to put out a book next year. Cause next year will be my 5 years. So every 5 years, I drop a book of, like, behind the scenes, what I've done, who I worked for, and just my process. Just to show people, like, this is not, it's not 1, 2, 3.
It's not overnight.
It looks like, and that's what everybody,
overnight.
like, when shit looks good, and, like, you got this dope brand, you got this, you got shoes, you're like, damn, man, that's, like, and it seems like an overnight success, right? Especially some people that follow you on Instagram. It's like, damn, like, a year ago, he was in DR, and then all of a sudden now he's got this shop in Miami, and people think it's, but they don't hear that you had 4 jobs, you traveled different ways, and you were doing it because of this, and you were actually just trying to learn something, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy.
That it's honestly like yes, it's a hustle, dedication mindset you just need to have. I look at it just in sports the exact same way. I used to play baseball.
I was just gonna
years.
ask, you played? Yeah, you had to.
I played baseball for like 10 years, and then
how old are you?
I'm 27.
Okay.
So like
I didn't know if we crossed paths in baseball. I'm a little older, so I got 4 or 5 years on you.
I know like because when I played, by the time I got to high school, I just like there was too much going on. I'm young. There's women. And then there's
I got other interests now.
There's women, and then there's sports, and then like as much as they're like, oh, don't use this excuse, but it's like it's for me, it happened like that where I was like, well, look. You had to go to practice all the time. I'm tired of practice.
Yeah, I would rather go do this.
She wants to hang out tonight. Let me go hang out with her. And I'm only missing 1 day of practice. but that ended up picking up a whole like a pattern and everything. And then I'm just losing the love for the sport because I was like, man, like I just feel like I have to devote myself so much in. And then at that point, I was like, all right, the dream of me being a baseball player stopped. Now, then at that point, going back to the drawing board, like, so what you going to be? Because that was the only thing I had in my mind. Was like, you're going to be a baseball player. That's it. And I'm like, yeah, right, for sure. But then when I came to realization, like, I lost the love for it. So that means without the love, I was like, I'm not gonna continue because I'm not gonna play as hard or try to be the next man. I'm like, I'm clear.
Yep.
So there's a dedication and a focus that you need that's like unmatching and unruly to that. At the end of the day, it's just like, you cannot stop me on my path, regardless.
Yeah.
Like, regardless where comes in my path. And I feel like the path I got to now, that's where I'm at. Whereas, like, I'm not distracted. I'm so focused. And, like, I just have a big heart. So I'm like, I always trying to help people. I'm like, look, this makes it easy for you. Or have this mindset. But then I also noticed that, like, even that takes a stroll out on me as well. Because it's like, not everybody wants to succeed. Realistically, not everyone really wants to make it. Hey, some people, they'll tell you stuff. I got time. Yeah, if you want to make it when you're 45 or something, like it's just there's something in you where it's like you're gonna make it today, or you can make it in time for sure. But my goal was like I need to make it now, like because I looked at it as just like I'm 27. Realistically, if I was focused on baseball, I would have already been in the league, and I want to be in the league and stay there and stuff like that. So it's like, where am I now? And then just pushing that same energy, the same focus, same like, all right, no distractions. I'm good. Let me just keep moving forward. Family helped a lot. They have, that's also good support. Good support system helped you out. They also make sure like, you build some type of foundation. And anytime like, things get rough, you can lean on them. They'll come and, support you and whatnot. But it's just, honestly, I just really feel like it's just that, like, it goes unnoticed because people just want to see the success.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone loves the success. Yep. But it's like everyone loves Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton's great. Yeah. But that success story is like 200 years.
Yeah, exactly.
This brand is 200 years in the making, and there's like so much that they've done that you can't your brand out the gate can't compare. Yeah. You can't just come out like, I'm Louis Vuitton. What?
Like, that's the problem people run into, right? It's the instant gratification era. Yeah. So you see Louis Vuittons and Gucci's, and it's like, man, they only drop exclusive things. They don't even make stuff. It's like, yeah, motherfucker, it's been going on for 200 years, like you said, right? Like they've been putting in the work so they can get to this point. So you start now and don't expect to be Gucci, don't expect to be Louis. Like that's the thing.
Yeah, of course. And there's always the back end, the back end things that no one doesn't see is like, what's the real business behind?
Right.
That's the thing. Behind the brands. Yeah. Like, McDonald's real business is not food. It's real estate. Yep. So but we all look at it just as that one perspective. No, I'm going to McDonald's for food, cheap food. Yeah. But it's not, the money really doesn't come there. Money comes off the real estate. Yep. So it's like you play your hand, you like try to figure out like, so it's really just, I think a lot of people look at it one thing, but like it's really just trying to understand what's really going on behind scenes. Yeah. How they're really moving, and then it's like, okay, it makes sense.
How many times do a separate part of the business fund a part that's actually the marketing side almost? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a crazy thing. It's a little bit almost like what I do in here, almost like, right? We have 4 or 5 sectors. Sneakers are super sexy in the world, right? Like, and it's easy to market them. But you see, like, we're a reseller. We have 20 shoes at max, maybe with 10 sizes. We're not a huge shoe place, but we market it. It's a collectible, and we tell a big story about it. But in revenue, it's probably 10% of our revenue. But,
exactly.
But all of the other stuff lets us tell the story about the shoes and get people in the door and see all the other stuff.
Like I always tell John, like, some brands, they have a breadwinner. Mm-hmm. And like, I always use example because it's the easiest one, which is like, Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren, in his brand, the breadwinner, I would say would probably be for sure Polo. Yeah. Right? And then he has other brands lower tier than Polo that makes way more money too. But it funds the crazy ideas that the ones like, oh, it's a limited edition, this and the XYZ. But it's like, to fund that, this breadwinner funded this. Right. So it's like, I'm not gonna for me in my sense, like I was like always conflicted, man. I need to stop selling the pillows because I want to get off being known as the pillow man or something like that. I want people to take me seriously for designing sneakers. But it was a breadwinner. Yep. So you don't stop the breadwinner. It's just to like be like, no, I don't do this. you can continue funding it, and you just slowly include,
you implement things.
Like, part, like, oh, look, I got this now.
Yep.
And then just make sure your story just all aligns itself.
Yeah,
that's it too. It's the storytelling, right? You're a designer,
Correct.
so you can talk about the design of the shoe and the design of the pillow. It's two different items, but it's the exact same. It's the IP.
Yeah.
The intellectual property of it is actually the design, the touch, the finish, all those things, right? So that's pretty dope. I love that. So what are we selling tonight in the pop-up shop? Are we selling these shoes? Are we selling some clothes? What do we got?
We have the orange sneakers. They come out November 13th.
Let's go.
I'm wearing the blue ones. They come out next year. But the orange ones are in this store for sale. They're going for $185.
Okay.
We also got the Jake shorts.
Yeah.
So this is Artist Dope, Carela, NeverJFake. It says NPA, which is National Paint Association.
You guys created that, or is that like an actual organization?
So
you guys just made a play on the
NPA. So to talk about Artist Dope, his name is Desmond. And he's far as like like Alejandro, he's the like Kanye West, right? He has the mind of Kanye West. And Dez would be Virgil.
Okay.
Like,
that's
so
dope.
he's
he's like the pen to paper design, like put this little finish on it, do this. Okay,
right. So Dez is really like the mastermind, like for real, when it comes to just like designing and detail and sketching and like that. He's fashion, like he's legit. Like he can do anything from suits to dresses to heels to regular just t-shirt, casual wear. He can do it all. So we just want to get
good at that. How do you get good at
man, I honestly, because we were talking about this the other day. So we were having a whole conversation, right? Like a legit, real conversation. And he's you. So he's having a whole, I hand him the iPad. I'm like, hey, sketch his sneakers on here on like Procreate. So we're having a whole discussion. Probably like 5-10 minutes later, he's like, all right, I'm done. While we're talking. So I'm like, dude, I'm like, bro, like he's different. Like
your brain,
his brain is his creativity level. I don't know, whatever he got in his brain, it's like amplified by like
see stuff differently. Probably.
I know Des, like, it's funny because me and Des went to the same school, same art school together, and we dropped out at the same time. and
you guys boys in school?
Yeah, that's how we met. Was in art school.
Yeah.
And he was telling me his story was pretty much like he's always been good at, like, he could draw like really like realistic pictures and anything like real, like you could just draw anything. Yeah. He just looks at it and just like,
go
without even tracing, just like, but it looks like he did, but he's just that great at his like, what he does. And then he was like, we went to school both to do accessory design. We're like, we both want to design shoes. He wanted to design women heels. I want to design sneakers. And then, but I told him, like, there's like, this school stuff is just kind of like, it ain't working for us, like how we really want it to be. Mm-hmm. So let's like jump back on our arts and push, and and just go from there. So he started painting on his clothes, and he started he started with suits. And then it's funny because like him and his going to be wife, soon to be wife, she's a fashion designer as well.
Yeah.
And she's like, and
she's dope
like,
too.
And she's like, Des is amazing, but she's better.
Like you got Jay-Z and she's Beyonce.
You guys are building a crew down there.
And and she's like, so like a lot of stuff. I told him, like, look, man, we could screen print on Gildan shirts or whatever. But we could take it a step further because your girl knows how to how to the communication of these factories. Like you gotta talk to these factories in their language.
Right.
So it's just like, hey, it's not like I want a T-shirt. What T-shirt? What's the grams? What's there's a whole bunch of this. I'm like, Des, she knows the cuts of how she wants it, the patterns. You could just like work together and then and start putting start pushing out when you put your clothes. It's like it has a sculpture. Like his clothes fit different. It don't fit like a regular T-shirt. It might like fit bigger in a sense but there's a purpose and reason why.
Right.
So, but he could tap into that.
That's dope.
Jump back in the art. Do this. Jump back over here.
Yeah, he's super talented. And then like his story also of like the name of how he got started. So he lost his dad to gun violence early. So he kind of went through like depression, like had some mental battles. And then, so his dope that he called it is art. So the name is brand Art is Dope. Yeah. So it's like art kind of helped him, get out his depression and things like that. And so like he's a phenomenal guy. Yeah. He does stuff with like Rick Ross. He paints on Bel Air bottles.
Yeah.
So he's part of like the Bel Air team now. So Bel Air, if they want like a bottle, custom bottle, they send it to him. He paints it, send it off to like Rick Ross or whoever. He does some stuff with Wingstop. He paints on Wingstop bags.
Let's go.
What else did he do? He do like suits. So how me and Dez got together was he customized my football cleats.
I was just gonna ask if he does cleats. Okay.
Yeah, so he does cleats. Yeah.
Bro, all right, so one of my things that I want to do with NIL this year with baseball players is I want to get like a videographer, like have Callie come in and have an artist. We buy the shoes, like Cards and Culture buys the shoes for the athlete. Then we sit down with the athlete and artist, and the athlete
let him
tells
design
the artist,
it out.
Hey, I want this design from my city, my town, my
That'd be
pops
dope.
or whatever, right?
That'd be dope.
We do a whole thing, and then we auction them off to either charity or the athlete makes his money back or something like that. You know? That's dope. I love that. I think that's such a cool storytelling avenue. Right, whatever it is, whether it's your issues that you got going on, family. All these different things are things that you're proud of. So that's dope.
Yeah, everyone's story comes from somewhere.
Right.
Like no one's perfect, and it comes where it's like, here's take it and run. It's more like these traumas that you got to face. I feel like in life in general, you have like that. Like rule number one is like you got to know yourself. You can never know yourself unless you face all these traumas.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like after you face trauma, then rule number two will approach you. But you will never know what rule number two is if you never face
Rule number one. Yeah.
So then you got to use like, I think use what's around you, like in general, the good and the bad.
Yep.
Like you can always learn from something, no matter how bad it is or how good it is. It's just like you can still learn more and figure like, okay, like what could be done better for this, like so that way there's nothing that repeats itself.
Yeah.
Like, we always talk about history repeats itself, but it's like we keep making the same
mistake.
So that's why it's gonna keep repeating, because it's like we're gonna make the same mistake for the same reason. For the same excuse that we give ourselves. Yeah. Because we're just avoiding the trauma, avoiding like the situation.
And you don't know yourself. Like you said, that's the first thing is knowing yourself and understanding why you behave certain ways or why you feel a certain way. Yeah. And that's why it's like, I think it's dope that Des found out his escape, right? Like we all probably found our escapes, whether it was sports earlier, design or whatever, right? And it's the same thing. We all we got lucky that it was sports and design and it wasn't drugs or dope, right? Or anything else or drinking or anything. You got to find your escape. We're actually doing something in here, and at the end of the month, we're doing a mental health. We're partnering up with a nonprofit around here, but we're doing like a panel talk where we have two artists come in and talk about how mental health drove their their art career and stuff.
Because like it's there's a lot of topics that's untalked about. Yeah, and there's a lot of like, and there's no light on it.
Yeah, not enough for sure.
Exactly, like so it just shows other kids. So this is when they're growing up and they're looking at interviews and stuff like that, they could be like, okay, well, my route doesn't have to be this straight route. Yeah, it can. And if my route does get like mixed up, it's fine. It's okay because you could get yourself back on your straight path, not the world's straight path, but your straight path, what you want.
And that's something that I think is really important that I want to yell loud, and I think something about like Cards and Culture speaks to is I think we're giving a platform to younger children and even dudes. I say dudes, right? Because we're three dudes sitting here, but there's a lot of females that work here, right? So we're empowering a lot of people. But you were talking about mental health and art, right? And like we're a bunch of alpha males, and here we are talking about design and art and drawing. You said you were in theater, right? So we're showing kids at 10 years old, like, I do feel this way. I can do this and be an athlete and do this, right?
For sure.
And be a badass. Like, you don't have to be a certain way anymore, right? So I think that's awesome too, what you guys are doing.
That's definitely like, it's a new culture. It's a new wave. Like we don't have to, like the new day of the alpha male is changed. Yeah. Like the new mindset, we're still alpha male. Don't get it twisted.
What do you call it? What's your theory on that? The tadpoles. The tadpoles.
Oh yeah.
Let's go. I want to hear.
So pretty much, I'm like, the way I look at it is like, if we're gonna compare ourselves as animals, then some people will call themselves a lion. Yeah, I'm a lion. I'm this and that. And I'm like, okay, right? Maybe the realistic point is, in your mind, you're a lion, but realistically, you're a tadpole in this ocean. Because a lot of like this. Oh man, you're gonna get me started.
But hey, this is what we're here for. Hey, I promise you, I call myself a space cadet all the time. Like I'm sure Jalen told you, I'm like, I have some weird conversations. So dive in right now. Let's go.
So it's like everyone like they put a front. I'm this, I'm that. All right, cool. And it's like I feel like the new day alpha male is just like you have to acknowledge and understand when what position you're in,
Right.
who really you are in the room. And it's to really understand, like, right now, I might not be the biggest lion.
Mm-hmm.
I might just be like a little fish because there's bigger lions in here. But it's just like understanding, acknowledge the room, seeing, like, where are you, and then be like, okay, well, then I'm going to start, I'm going to get bigger, though. Like, you just acknowledge, like, I'm not ready right now, but I'll be back. Don't worry.
Yep.
But some people, I feel like they jump off the gate. I'm just lying.
Driven off
watch me. And then it's like, all right, fine, I'm going to watch you. And then it's like, I'm this little tadpole, actually. I'm just like, I really can't do much. I can't. And you're like, what's all this, extra stuff then? So then, then you're like, man, don't pay no mind. I think the theory you're talking, I was saying to you the other day was, what's the lion's position in the jungle in general? The lion's not eating every day.
Right.
Yeah.
The lion is only going to eat when it's necessary. The kill is necessary, or the kill, like, I don't know if they even eat if it's super easy. They'll just only eat when it's necessary.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they'll sit back there watching. Everyone else would run around and do all the, the juggle and everything. It's like another circus. Like, they'll do what they got to do. The lion's like, well, I'll make my grand performance when it's needed.
Right.
So it's
I love that.
coming in at the right time.
Yeah.
When, but it's also like, come prepared.
Yeah, for sure.
Because at the end of the day, when lions get challenged, you get challenged to the test.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you have to come and you make sure you perform, and you make sure you, like, I ain't striking out.
Yeah.
I'm here to play. Like, don't get me, twisted, or don't think like, I'm not strong enough to handle my own. I'm here.
No.
So it's definitely like, I look at people like, in back, in Miami, when the kids we were working with, I was like, man, so much great potential, but it's like if they don't believe in themselves. And then nowadays, I feel like it's criticism, like they just can't accept when the criticism is not bad.
Oof.
Like,
I think criticism is a great thing, honestly.
like,
Yeah, for sure.
If you say my singers are ugly, great. Why?
Yes.
Like, I need to know why.
Yes.
Where your mindset is, and then if just so I know, okay, like, what can I fix going forward?
Yep.
Now, if you just say you don't like it just because you don't like it, and just no, like, backing behind it, all right, that's just a regular opinion.
Yeah.
Push that to the side.
But you have to have, like, crazy awareness to understand that too. Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing that it took me a long time, right? In my life, I didn't always have self-awareness. And we're still developing it, right, too. But it would be real easy for me to come up and be like, man, those shoes are trash, right? And you could project your anger and insecurity on me right away and be like, man, fuck you. What do you know about shoes, right?
Right.
But instead, you chose to be like, let me understand this man a little bit more. Let me understand his perspective. Let me see where he's coming from, his culture, his background, his taste in shoes. And that's all just a feather in the cap. Now you're just understanding more about shoes, design, about culture, about another space, right? And it's the same exact scenario, just a completely different reaction or perspective on it. So that's deep as fuck.
You get more out of it, I feel like.
Yes,
for sure.
You get way more out of that. But at the end of the day, that's just regular life. It's not even about art or design. That's just your regular life. Understanding the person you're talking to, or the your new friend, or whoever it is. It's an understanding. Like, everyone has their opinions, but it's based off something.
Yeah.
And so it's just understanding, like, okay, like, I'm not gonna get mad because you say something that, like, that's gonna trigger me.
Right.
Let me like, like, because
there's a reason it's triggering
ideally,
you.
like, if you, to me, I look at it as like, if I just invoke my emotions immediately, like, I'm losing. Like, I already lost the
100%.
leverage in a situation.
Yep.
Because now, like, if I'm emotionally, like, happy or sad or whatever it is, it's like I'm getting, like, yanked.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, I'm easy to be manipulated at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So instead of
Vulnerable,
just like,
sure.
oh, like, just tell me how you feel. Tell me where you stem from, and just that, by me understanding that, then I know, okay, how I need to move.
And then half of the times when you ask them those questions, like, they really don't have a true answer to why they don't like them.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
you understand them even more too, right?
Yeah, it's just like,
that's
okay,
what I think. Like, we talk about, like, alpha males is how it's changed in the last 10, 20, even, I don't know, maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
But, like, back in the day, if somebody told you your shoes were ugly, maybe you just start fighting on the spot, right? Like, you'd be like, let me throw you. Or you want to prove them? Like, all right. But that was the way that alphas handled it back then, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm strong. Your opinion sucks. I'm stronger than you. I'm going to prove my opinion's better.
Yeah.
But now it's like, let me get cerebral on this. Let me understand you. Let me understand my brother and sister, and, like, try to get to know you a little bit more. Hopefully,
It's like, we're animals, right? We're mammals, but at the same time, we're humans.
Right.
We're smartest. We're the smartest ones. So at that point, let's be smart.
Yeah, let's use what makes us human.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't like. At the same time, like, it's just how we look at the battle.
Yeah.
Or take an L in a battle.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to win the war, win the war.
Yeah, you got it, but
so, like,
people don't understand that though. Like,
yeah, like
when you trying to, like, big picture, like, you have to take a L. Like, that's the only way to, you know what I'm saying? That's the only way to win the war.
And an L isn't always bad if you look at it in the perspective of, there's a reason I took this.
Yeah,
L.
it's a reason for sure.
Let me fix it, because then maybe it's not an L the next time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly. Like there's always you're not, like I said, like in my, I guess, like how I grew up, and like I guess in my situations and every decision I made, it was like let me learn it from the ground.
Yeah.
The books couldn't get me exactly the knowledge. Like the books, like I read it, I got it, cool, but that's not the reality of the world, how things work sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it sounds great in the book, but the reality of the world is just not like that. Like you find out how, the finesse and how people like get by and get their way, and you're like, well, why can't that happen to me? It's like, you gotta understand, it's not a book world.
Yeah.
This is this is a world with different interactions, different human beings, and how we handle our situations. Well, when we talk about, it's bigger than just on any 500 page or 1,000 page book and stuff like that. So it's just kind of like going out there and like really getting that experience. The closer you get to that experience, the easier you are, to handle, to start walking, around different places around the world, and not having that fear of like, I don't want to go there. For what reason?
Yeah.
This is like, I don't know. And I always tell people, like, man, like the best thing you could do is always like travel.
That's
The
it.
best thing. Like it's my first time here in Louisiana, and first time Baton Rouge, and like honestly, like I love it.
Yeah.
I took him to Canes yesterday.
Yeah.
They had Canes.
Let's go.
Man, this is crazy.
He hooked.
Staple here. My nephew came for 3 weeks, and I think he ate canes 5 days a week. Like, dude, just like
That's
people,
how it is.
Yeah, the people love
That's how it
canes.
is.
It's like I was like, man, like this. I would never get to taste that good food if I didn't come here. So like at the same time, it's kind of like, oh well, like you gotta travel, explore, learn the cultures from different people,
That's
learn
the thing.
like like that'll perfect your work.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're just, I do that, how I look at it, I'm like, man, what everybody wants in different parts of the cities around the world is just like if we're in Europe, and let's say we're in France, and we're gonna do a store together, I'll make a store based based off Baton Rouge there,
Right.
because they want to see that culture.
Yeah.
Right.
They know what the French
culture
culture
is.
is.
Yeah.
They have that. They're like, cool.
Yeah.
Don't show me what I have.
Something I already
show
know.
me something
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Something that I have to travel. I take a whole plane to come to over here to experience it. Instead, you guys brought it right to me.
Yep. No, that's exactly it.
Now with that, it's like, all right, perfect. I have better leverage. I have it's an attraction. It's an attraction. People they want to see what they can get.
Yep.
Yeah.
All the time. So it's this idea, like that's my mindset. I'm like, let me even and I take that same mindset, put it to my brand.
Yeah.
Let me show you my culture, which is a Dominican, New York, Floridian culture, and that's my brand.
Yep.
So I'm gonna push that out, and then I'm there's a staples. So you know about coquitos? All right. So in the Bronx,
What is it?
So in the Bronx, normally it's like it's not Italian ices because it's not it's not it doesn't have the same flavor, but it looks just like it. And it's like cocoa, cherry, mango, and tamarindo. Those are like the flavors of it. Yeah. They always be like, right outside school in the corner. Like they're like coquito. When back when I was a kid, there was like maybe 25 cents, 50 cents. Yeah. And even now, it's like they still sell in New York. It's like $1, $1.50 or something like that. And I'm like, man, when I go to Florida, no one has no idea what that is.
Yeah, no idea,
like,
bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
Coquito as the alcohol drink that Puerto Ricans make. I'm like, no. I'm like talking about the ices. They're like, nah. So I'm like, all right, my pop up, we're gonna have coquito.
Let's go.
So then, I'm bringing my culture everywhere. This is where I grew up on. How I grew up. Like this is a staple.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a staple for the Carela brand. So that's like an example of using your personal life with your brand, and it goes hand in hand.
I feel like a little bit of cards and culture. I take that. So I grew up in Jersey. When I got down to LSU, it was like I didn't change my way. I was like, how
was that transition for you?
Oh my god,
how was that transition? For
it
you?
was crazy.
Like how long did it take you to get acclimated with the culture here?
I still feel like there's times where I'm still not acclimated. But, hey, like you said, I move fast and I talk fast. I'm animated, and it's just like sometimes I'm on the road and I'm like, man, you guys, everybody just moves slower.
Slow.
It's just, it's slow. So
yeah.
that's a big thing for me. But I think it's a great lesson in my self-awareness and things that I need to learn, you know, of how to slow down, how to do those things. So it was a big adjustment for me. The food was tough too. Like that was, I just
like when was your first, like how long did it take you to eat crawfish? Like when did you accept crawfish?
2 years ago. Like,
damn.
2 years ago. Like, I didn't eat crawfish for 5 years because I tried it my freshman year. And I was so embarrassed. I didn't know how to do it. I grew up fishing with that shit. Like, we would use that as bait. I didn't know how to eat it. And we ate crabs in New Jersey. So I'm like trying to peel them like crabs. And I'm like, this sucks. I'm not full. And I finally learned how to do the whole process 2 years ago. Now I fucking love crawfish rolls. I'm like, now I understand it.
Yeah.
But for a while, I was like, this is stupid.
Same. It took me to probably like maybe my junior year.
Yeah.
Like it took me about 3 years, bro. It took me about 3 years to like
get it
really
down though. It's like an actual. You're like, oh, I get it now.
I get it.
Like,
I
pop
get it.
in, you can eat a few, go drink a beer, hang out, bullshit, come back and eat some more. But I just was like sitting there. I'm like, you have to peel this one piece for. This
I was the same way. I'm crabs, Miami, same way. Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah. But that's like, I feel like a little bit of this is like I brought my Jersey culture into it, and even like when I was at LSU, I remember all the guys like giving me shit about wearing certain shoes, and there was a dude from Michigan. Him and I were the only ones that wore Jordans on the team at the time, and it was just like we got made fun of for that shit. And it was just, I was like, this is weird. I'm like, this is like popular. This is like a thing to do. And
everybody wants to wear Jordans. Why don't you guys want to? Like, nah.
And it was just like it was a bunch of Southern boys, you know, like that were on the team. It was just like the guys that I came in with, and there was a couple guys that had some like, you know, like different style that understood it and stuff. But for the most part, all the country boys are making fun of you, and you're just like, oh man, I kind of want to fit in, but at the same time, like this is what I know and what I like.
That's what I do.
It's like,
that's what I do.
It's all right. So then I felt like I really embraced that side of me when I was in Louisiana, like as like, oh, I'm the Northeast boy in the South, you know? So it was fun to do that, and I feel like that's been my kind of brand, you know, with the podcast, things like that. It's just interviewing different people, doing things a different way than the South. And I can't tell you how many times, even when I opened up a couple businesses, I had a couple friends literally be like, hey man, just to remember you're in South Louisiana. And I would just be like, I'm not, you're not my demographic. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to go for more open-minded, inclusive, you know, that kind of stuff. But I had people literally trying to tell me to rein in my, like the things I want to do because of the place that I'm in. And I'm like,
hell no.
This is the problem. Why there's not a lot of change here, you know?
Exactly. So
I appreciate that. That got me fired up. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
like,
me, bro. It's hand in hand. Like, because I feel like everyone, you naturally do it. You just don't speak about it because it comes off so natural. So it's like when you finally like, all right, let me talk about it. It's like, oh, this makes so much easy. Like I just broke this down to make it so much sense to me. Like everyone, like everyone's like, I want $1 million. All right, we'll just break down $1 million. I'm like, break it down to like you have a product that's $200, sell it to 5,000 people. That's your $1 million. Right? Or break it down more and keep breaking it down until it hits the number that you feel like you can do. Now there's more people. Yes, the lower you go, the lower price range, the more people you need. But that's it. So it's just like it's hand in hand. You could do that. You could strive for those numbers and get those numbers. Just think of it this like just make it easier for yourself. The $1 million plan is still here. But what's the little checkpoints you're gonna take just to get to your $1 million game plan and stuff like that. So I use that theory all the time, like for everything. Like everything, you just break it down. Just break everything down because it just makes it more easier just to like get what you need to get done.
I love it.
That's it.
Well, good shit, boys. I think we're getting ready to open, and I don't know when this will come out, but tell everybody where they can follow you. Obviously, they'll know tonight if they're coming to the pop-up and they'll see you guys, but I'll leave it in the show notes of where your guys' website is, your Instagram, all that stuff. Give your personals and stuff too, so everybody can follow you.
Go ahead, Drew.
So I'm Carela. So you can find me on Instagram on _Carela, CARELAA. And my website comes out November 13th. And I have the store November 13th in Miami. So if you guys pull up to Miami,
let's go.
November 13th, be there. And it's www.carela.com.
With the 2 A's at the end?
No, we're just 1 A, just CARELA.com. And so you could like join my family and be a part of the Carela culture. And we're starting off right now with the OGNC1 sneakers. Yeah.
Let's go.
So you can find me at on Instagram. I don't be on Twitter. Twitter too much for me, man. I'm on Instagram. My personal page is JBIV000. That's JB4000. That was my first like rap name.
Let's go. I always remember you as John Battle.
I'm the fourth.
Yeah,
I'm the fourth. Yeah.
So that was your rap name?
That was my rap name. Andre 3000 was my favorite rapper.
Yeah.
So I was just like,
I love it.
4K, all right, 4 stacks, all right, 4,000. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
I love it. Good shit. Well, hey, this conversation, I feel like we got to jump on again and do this again. This
Yeah,
was
for
fun,
sure.
For real. This was awesome, and I'm excited about tonight. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for everything.
Yeah.
Thank you, Car and Culture. This is amazing, man. Come from Miami, New York to first time over here.
Hell yeah.
Guys, open the doors, man. Definitely tune in, check out what they have, check out all the merchandise, the cars, collect. If you're collectibles, come in here. Definitely support.
Appreciate
For sure.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.
Yep. Good stuff. All right. I think we're good.